And we are back. This is Entertainment Thursday right here on Good Morning Kenya. My name is Vivian Degwa and our DJ is none other than Unique the DJ. And we got to start off our first interview right here on Entertainment Thursday. And we are starting off in a really nice way. We're going to be talking about the film industry. That's an exciting place to start, right? Yes, we're going to be talking about the people who get to entertain us, the people who are behind the entertainment that we get matters at the film industry. You know, the gigs that we've been seeing around when it comes to film. I am sure you've heard of the gig that is shorts, and shorts. Yani shorts, ile shorts. And then shorts, the outfit, and then the shorts, like short films. I'm sure you've heard of that. And I am more than pleased to have the director and the people who are part of this particular beautiful event that got to happen here with me in studio, and we're going to be talking about that plus many other things concerning the film industry. Ladies and gentlemen, introducing my guests on my immediate right, we have Susan Bogo. Susan Bogo is the programs, partnerships and fundraising director. Welcome to the program. It's a pleasure to have you on board.
Thank you. All
right, and right next to Susan we have Shiba Nyathama. Yes, Shiba Nyathama, and Shiba is the festival director and co-founder of the NBO Film Festival. Welcome to the program as well.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure to have you ladies on board and just to have this conversation on matters the film industry. Maybe I may begin by us getting a bit of a background for each one of you so that we get to understand who we are talking to today. So if I may begin with you, Shiba, just a bit of a background of where the film bug, you know, caught you.
Oh, yeah. Thanks so much for that question, and it's really great to be here. We're really excited when media takes a real keen interest on like the behind the scenes of the entertainment industry, since we're together in making it happen. I co-founded the NBO Film Festival, NBO for Nairobi, like, you know, like the flight code.
Yeah.
And but it's like the Nairobi Film Festival in 2016 with Mbithi Masya, filmmaker. Also, he made the film Katikati. We kind of just got to this place. He was making a film that had been premiered at a film festival in Canada, the TIFF Film Festival. And after he came back, he was like reflecting on the fact that his film is being seen all over the world at these beautiful festivals, but there's no festival in Nairobi for his film to show at. So we were like, well, we should put a context around this film when it comes to Nairobi. And so that's how the first edition of the NBO Film Festival was born.
Yeah.
And we're in our 6th edition this year. 6th edition, but 9 years because of the two-year COVID break.
Yeah.
And we bring basically the best of Kenyan cinema to the world stage, and we bring the best of the world's cinema to Nairobi.
To Nairobi as well. All right, there we have it. How about you? Like, just take us back to when you got into the film space.
So DocuBooks was founded in 2013. And ideally, we were founded because we wanted to support independent documentary filmmakers in the space, because there was no funding for documentary filmmakers, there was no capacity building for them, and there was also no audience building. And so that's how we started, just being the space where filmmakers find a home and find the support that they need. And as we grew in 2018, we figured, how do we support the fiction side of it? And so we started running an event called Shots, where, like you said, you wear shorts, you watch short African films, and you take shots. And that was a way of growing the audience, our own audience, that an audience that actually enjoys watching films that are made by Kenyans, by Africans, and you relate to them. And yeah, so we've done it since 2018, took a break, the same time as Shiba because of COVID. Then came back in last year. And we've just been working together with them. But the goal of Shots is to open up the film industry to the larger audience, just for them to know that we have amazing films that African filmmakers are doing in the continent and in the diaspora.
Would you say that right now the film industry is being appreciated more in the context of Kenya? Yeah.
I would. I think we've seen the numbers growing steadily for shorts, and even when we do our, because we tend to do a lot of monthly screenings with GoTe, the numbers keep on increasing because then the access to the films is there. I think the numbers are increasing.
I mean, I think that one of the things we're seeing is that there's a lot more resourcing of the film industry happening at the moment. DocuBox is a great example of that. They've had a fund that has helped documentary filmmakers really get started on their journey, and you'll see that like Kenya is now very prominent on the world scene as far as producing like world-class documentaries that dazzle audiences everywhere and that put us and our stories on a global platform, told by us in our voices, with the lens that we want to look at our own world with, which is a really important shift, I think. I think that that has made like Kenya a spotlight where a lot of people are looking at with interest at what's going on in this sector, and you'll see a lot more like of the big funders of films. Like Nairobi, Kenya has tended to be mostly focused on smaller budget fiction. And we're beginning to see those, like the possibility of those, like, you know, multi-million dollar budgets, which are, because there's more confidence. There's more confidence being gained in our sector and its capacity to both produce that reliably. We've always had the technological capacity in terms of like the talent. We've also always had like the audiences who are interested in consuming it, but the two things have not really necessarily been seen as, you know, working together in perfect harmony. And so we're beginning to see the closing of that gap. So bigger and bigger investments are being made, which means you're able to do more ambitious things. You're able to make more ambitious projects and things that have a much wider reach. It's a really big moment for shifting that.
Yeah, and even picking from what you've just said, there have been conversations around we don't tell our stories enough, you know, as Africans in general, but even just, you know, bringing it just close home, just as Kenyans, we do not tell our stories. But I'm like, are we really not telling our stories? I feel like we are telling our stories. It's just that, are you going to the right places? You know, these are the spaces we're talking about, the likes of NBO Film Festival, the likes of Shots, and the rest, you know, that are amazing gigs that have been set particularly for that. So from my point of view, I feel like we are telling our stories. We can do better. Of course, there's always room for improvement on everything, but we're telling our stories. And I would love to hear from you, since you are hands on deck on this. You know, I'm just speaking from the outside looking in, but I feel like if we got more investors coming on board specifically for that, then it will be even grander, you know? If you can just, you know, weigh in, you know, what would you say on that?
We're both very chatty people, so we are like, go on. Yeah.
I mean, I do agree with you. Like, if we did get more investing in the film space, then the results would be bigger and more. I mean, again, bigger and grander. If you've noticed, as we're talking about gigs, there's a gig called the Filmmakers Hangout, and you can tell it's a whole lot of Gen Z who just come together to watch their own films and other people's films, but that's their way of trying to invest in each other and get the support. So if the government or private investors could actually put in money into the film system and see if we could actually have the numbers to show, because I think we do have the numbers, just that they're scattered all over. And the way others look at investment is not really how the Kenyans, you know, like the whole, you have to have the Netflix subscriptions, or the Kenyans are rarely watching films on Netflix because our films are not on Netflix. But if it's on YouTube, the numbers are there. If it's Philip's, his platform, his numbers are there. So if there was a way to congregate these numbers and actually make a case to investors, I think it's the right time to actually invest in the ecosystem.
100%, Susan. I couldn't agree with you more. And I think that question of the data not being like consolidated in one place is one of the things that our sector has been trying to figure out. A lot of conversation, because there's so much Kenyan content that is consumed by Kenyans, but a lot of it is consumed in informal platforms, you know, like hundreds and hundreds of like cinema, micro cinemas, you can call them that, those little like cinema halls, but also on streaming platforms, on YouTube, and all these individual producers who then put up their own platform, like Philip, like you mentioned, who have huge numbers that subscribe to watch their thing, and they're able to make a case for like investors. But if we were to put all that data together as well, and if the state was to look really closely at what strategic plan it has for this sector, like many other countries, like Morocco has a really specific strategic plan for its film sector and the role it's going to play in the world as part of like expanding their soft power, telling their story from their perspective, but also really owning their image as a country. Like, your film sector is a big part of like how your image as a country is projected out there. And it's not about telling a sanitized story, it's actually about telling a complex one. The sector needs to see, like the state needs to see the sector as also one of our greatest exports. Cultural exports are vital, like a vital part of the economy. So the same way that you have like boards that go out there and be like the flower sector, we have now gone and convened, like, you know, we've taken guys to a market that's out there so that Kenya is seen as like the obvious place to go. That's the same way that we need to look at sectors like our film sector.
I totally agree with you on that. And even, you know, just maybe on the same trail of thought, would you say that or maybe what is lacking for us to get to that point where we are actually at a 10 out of 10 when it comes to the film industry? Like, what is lacking? Because I mean, the film industry, looking outside, you know, outside Kenya, not outside the continent, because I know there are places in the continent where film is like big, you know, in terms of speaking from the point of just the money that film gets to bring in, the revenue it brings in for some of these countries, like it's a multi-billion-dollar film, but we are yet to tap that in Kenya. So what is amiss?
I'm going to say the policies. I think we do need to work on policies that actually make filming in Kenya attractive. And like you said, the industry, it actually employs one film itself can employ 100 people, and that's for like, if you're doing a short film, say for 4 days. So 100 people have been employed for 4 days and they've made their living. But if we had like proper policies that even, and the tax rebates, we need a proper working film policy for Kenya, and proper government inputs.
Exactly. Yeah. I think there's also, like, the more you make films, the better the quality of those films becomes. You can see it like with reference to, say, like the music industry. Like, we've gone streaks ahead with the music industry because we own the means of production, and we've been able to do a lot of production that has seen this upturn, like where we're just showing up on the world stage like everybody else, and the quality of the visual production has really gone high. Like, our videos hold up at the same level. Now, if you think about how expensive it is to make a film, like, we can't really shift that journey quickly enough without giving filmmakers the opportunity to make lots and lots of short films to prove their concept, and figure out like how that storytelling mechanism works better and better. Like, you have to make things. Nobody wants to know your CV. They want to see what you've made, right? Before they invest in your thing. You can have the best CV, but like the person wants to actually watch the thing and be like, oh yeah,
that's the CV actually.
Yeah, exactly. That's your CV. And then we just need the pathways, and this is where the partnership with the media comes in, the pathways of reaching the audiences. Like, to depend on the filmmakers only to be like the entire ecosystem of their film is like too much of a burden to put on any production company. And this is where we're seeing a lot more influencers coming up, like, you know, Katha, who does like those wonderful film, what's it called, talk movies, talk film, and movie buffs and like people like that who are helping the audience. They're curating the content, because there's a lot of content. They're curating the content for the audiences to give people a pathway to follow. And, you know, conversations like this and what the rest of the media environment, just being like, this matters, this is important, how do we highlight this? How do we make this journey like a partnership?
There's something you got to mention off air that also caught my attention, because I've never really looked at it, you know, from that point of view, whereby when it comes to the entertainment scene, everything is put under one umbrella,
right?
You know, but in real sense, all these things are individual, you know, they stand individually on their own. Because under entertainment, there's that music, there's dance, which is also on its own, there's film on its own, there's theater on its own. Like, it's, each one of them should stand on its own. I've never looked at it that way, because I feel like we just put it under an umbrella, that it's the entertainment scene.
Right.
And that's it. Is that a problem?
And it gets bandied about between, like, oh, is it entertainment, or is it culture? Is it like this whole, and it's fair, it's like a negotiation that we're all trying to figure out, but trying to simplify things to just one. It's like having an agriculture board that is not thinking about the fact that you've got livestock systems, you've got like different, you know, different crop systems. You've got to like really look at each part of that sector and just see what does that pipeline need. I'm not saying they're not interrelated, but they all have like a specific pipeline, and like what do they want to achieve. And it starts at primary school all the way through. You start embedding those skills like right early at the kids' age. Or what?
No,
do you
I totally
think,
agree.
Yeah, you're of the same opinion.
I'm of the same opinion.
Yeah.
It doesn't help
Copy
when you're
and paste,
banded.
whatever she said, just copy and paste it. I like that. So I want us to get into the individual work that you do in the space. For example, with shorts and shorts. How do you go about, you know, picking the films that will now be showcased, you know, on the day of the event?
Okay, yeah, so for the last 2 years, because we've collaborated with NBO, we've done the call out together. So like this year we did the call out using the NBO Film Freeway platform, and we got over 1,300 submissions for a selection of 9. Which is fun.
I bet.
But yeah, so most of the times we just do a call out and put it out there. And then the good thing is we do have partners across the continent, so at least the word gets to spread out such that we get a variety of films. Like I think this year's edition, we had films from Nigeria, Cote d'Ivoire, Somalia, I think. No, Ethiopia, and Kenya. And so, but then it's also because we used our partners to like push the words for us and just get the submission, and then we just get readers, not readers, selectors, people who can help us watch the films and select the best films based on the theme that we had. And so this year's theme was We Are All Africans, and that meant whatever it is to be African.
Yeah.
Whether it's your hair, your outfit, whether it's the food, whatever it was, but then also the films reflected the theme. So that's how we go about doing the whole call for selection. And of course we try and market shorts to other audiences and not just filmmakers, because also we try to make sure that shorts is the one space where the filmmakers, the audience, the crew, you all get to meet and network. So for the last edition on Sunday, we had a students' masterclass on AI and VFX, because AI is the thing now. There's no going forward without figuring out how to work with AI. And so Kome Moirebu, he did a masterclass with students around how to use AI for their films or AI for whatever creative work that they're doing. And then after we got to do the screenings, and we held a director's lounge with the filmmakers that got the films showed. So 9 filmmakers got to do a director's lounge, which is they got to talk about the process of making the film, not just to filmmakers but to the general audience. So that's also just a way to try and bridge the gap, and for the audiences to understand the filmmaking process. It's not just holding a camera.
Exactly.
Yeah, to get to understand.
Yeah, to get to understand the whole process, but also for everyone to feel involved in the process. So the next time you're watching a film, you'd be like, oh, that guy shot this like this.
Yeah. Has it been the same for you, you know, when it comes to NBO? I know this, you are collaborating, but over the years, has that been the case?
We do, so NBO is a 10-day film festival, and then Shorts is a collaboration that we do on one of the days, because there's a one-day experience. And DocuBox, the organization that hosts Shorts, is also an overall collaborator of ours. We do our selection process a little bit differently. We started.
Allow me to cut you short. Let's take a break and then we'll come back and get to understand that more. Let's take a break. We'll be back in a moment. Welcome back. Thank you for staying with us. Let's go on with our conversation. Before we took that break, Shiba, you were just talking about, you know, how you go through that process of picking the films you know, to be showcased on that. It's a 10-day film festival. 10 days.
10 days.
It's a whole festival,
It really is.
It's a whole festival. And this year's selection was beautiful. I want you to talk to us about that.
Okay, so NBO's philosophy is that we would like to open the film festival always with a Kenyan film, and we opened with a fabulous documentary called How to Build a Library that was born out of a DocuBox.
Supported, yeah.
Yeah, supported by DocuBox, yeah. And really incredible about these women who are renovating the Macmillan Library and their journey going through that, right? But we start our submissions process in January, and we have people with open submissions. If you start early, you submit for free. If you, as the later it gets, there's little charges along the way.
Yeah.
And then we get a selection committee who go through all the films and whittle them down, and then we come down to the last sort of selection, and that forms the bulk of our program. But we also have curators who look at what's going on with African cinema and black cinema across the world, because we're also interested in films of the other diasporas, Afro-Caribbean films. We never get to see that coming into our ecosystems, but they're beautiful films that come from Brazil and that are relevant for us in a really interesting way. And so they keep an eye on what's going on that scene, and then we request those films. So like one of the films that we're really looking forward to in the coming days is a film called My Father's Shadow, which won by a filmmaker from Nigeria called Akinola Davis. And it won the debut prize at Cannes Film Festival. It's the first time that Nigeria won this prize. It's a beautiful film. It's like an African film that we wouldn't normally get to see because it doesn't come through the official distribution. But so worth seeing. So you keep seeing these films making this prominent, being prominent on the international scene, but not available to us here on the continent. And that's sort of what our festival was trying to shift. Can we also be able to consume the best of our own products?
Yes.
I keep talking about agriculture, but it's very much like how our grade 1 wheat gets exported.
Yeah.
And then the one that's swept from the floor is what do we... Sorry, cereals board. But it's like that, where you find we send our finest things away, and then we don't make platforms for them to be available to us and our own people. And also building that affinity between the films and the audiences that they were originally intended for.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, that is beautiful. Both of you are doing an amazing job in that space. It's absolutely something to be applauded, We should be winding up, but I know we've talked about what is amiss. It's important for us to also talk about what is working as we wind up. What are you loving right now in the space? What is working right now?
Just how Kenyans are actually coming out to watch the films. I think compared to last year, I think NBO has had really good numbers this year.
Absolutely, yeah.
Shorts has also had really good numbers. But even the gigs that are happening every month or every 2 weeks, there's so many film gigs out here that you actually get lost on what you want to go and watch. But I also love the turnout. People are actually coming out to watch our own content, watch our own films, and watch films that relate to us. I love the reception that the films are now having.
Yeah.
What is good, the creativity is through the roof at the moment. We can't applaud the Gen Z generation enough for how much they've reinvested every sector, I think, in Kenya, with a sense of the urgency of being mindful and thoughtful and vocal about the way that you want the world to be, and that you see that coming across a lot in the films, and also in their willingness to consume those films. I think that there's a growing investor interest from the continent widely in financing films and financing the film ecosystem, so the distribution systems. There's just brave steps that just need to be taken to actually make the investments that make that happen. And I think that the Kenya Film Commission are doing a great job. They've been an organization, a government agency. I know it's so easy to bash the state about what they're not doing, but it's important to say that the Kenya Film Commission has been really consistent about like getting Kenya's film story out there and making more enabling environments in Kenya for the filmmakers who are here. So I have to, give them a shout out for that too. Yeah.
Thank you so much, ladies, for joining us on the show today. For those people who have gotten to interact with you for the first time, for those who've gotten to know about NBO for the first time and Shorts and DocuBox for the first time, maybe if they would want to head over your social media handles just to see what you do. Maybe there's someone who would be interested to come on board in one way or the other. How do they get you?
For DocuBox, the pages are My DocuBox on Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, and Facebook. That's the pages. And then for Shorts, it's just Shorts, and Shorts.
Okay.
So Shorts, short films, and Shorts is the last one.
Yeah. And for us, it would be NBO Film Fest across all the platforms. So NBO Film Fest, you can come to our website. There's still films to be seen this weekend. So you can see the full selection of films. I can't even rattle them all off, but there's at least 4 more days of films. So people should just get out there, come and see the films. Some of them are sold out, but there's lots still that's there to see.
All right, thank you.
The venues.
Oh, yeah, at the Prestige Cinema, at the Unseen Nairobi, that's in Kilimani, and at the Kaloleni Social Hall. And the great thing about the Kaloleni Social Hall location is that it's free. And so, anybody can go and watch films there, and it's some of the same films at the other places. And we also have student discounts. So on our platforms, you can reach out to us and access those.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, this is where we end this amazing conversation. I believe that you have gotten to enjoy it just as much as I have, just being in this conversation. It was a good one, it was a rich one, and it does not end here.